Week 9 is around the corner, along with clinching scenarios for the playoffs right at our doorstep. We'll be talking about those, recaps, previews, an interview with an MVP candidate from Birmingham. You might catch the drift. He is Mr. McGough after all, along with visiting our good buddy Brian Woods. All this and more on episode 60, the big 6-0 of the USFL podcast. And it starts right now.
1, 2, 3.
Welcoming everybody into episode 60, the big 6-0 of the USFL podcast. Zach Kyleman leading in for this edition of our wonderful show covering all things United States Football League. Alongside with me, of course, as we're diving in, is the ref himself. It's a big week in week 9. We got plenty to talk about, previews, recaps, and all that and more. A great interview, by the way, with Alex McGough, MVP frontrunner, perhaps. We're going to be talking with him in a second, and some more, as you said in the preview. But first, I always have to ask, how is my co-host doing? How is the man in the chair across from me, theoretically, doing? As we've hit our 60th episode together. It's been quite a journey, hasn't it?
It's a good week. It's a great week. And we're getting so close to the greatest week ever. I don't know if you saw it, but God is on the gambler's side.
Yes,
1 point edging it out. I don't care if it's a clean win, a dirty win, a stinky win. A win is a win, and I am all in. All in, baby.
You've broken me. Ref's law is a thing. I officially give up.
I don't make the rules. I don't write the laws. I just call them as I see them. And you know what? I hate it. I hate it to be true, but kind of want a Panthers loss this week, but we'll get to that later. We'll get to that later. But you know what? We'll see. I can't get too cocky. 2 weeks left. Hot to trot, though. Feeling good. Dice in hand, chips in the other.
We'll revisit putting the salt in my wounds, along with you getting to relive a excellent comeback victory in Canton, Ohio, along with much more in just a moment. But right now, it is the time of the show. Got to give those house cleaning pieces together to let you know where to go and what to sign up for us. By the way, have you been on social media lately for us? At USFL Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. We will have new TikToks coming up, especially for Summer Stock. We got to drop that video here pretty soon. Summer Stock dance coming.
I got to figure that one out, but I have one in mind.
You think the answer is yes in there?
The answer is always yes. I heard. I don't know.
It's going to be a yes for that. We'll get something in order. It might not be both of us. Maybe it's more. Who knows? But hey, you do want to check those out at USFL Podcast for your social platforms, including YouTube, which, by the way, if you're listening on audio, hey, thanks for that. Drop us a review, by the way, if you don't want to jump on the video version. However, we recommend you do jump over to the video version. Click that big red button to subscribe to us, and then click the bell. It builds morale, not only for you, but for us too. You also get entered into a jersey giveaway. Once we hit 5K subs, we're going to be giving away a fully customized USFL jersey of your choice from the USFL shop. Just got to let us know, but you got to be subscribed to do that. And the only way you can is by hitting that big red button and that bell icon along the way. Speaking of merch, hey, you want some cool shirts? You see the league's doing a lot of stuff with Breaking Tea as of late. Pretty much any of the teams now have their own Breaking T-shirt. You want to check out our promo code, help out the show, by using code USFL Newsroom at checkout while you're on Breaking T. That's code USFL Newsroom. And that's not just for USFL purchases. You can use that for anything on their website. Great merchandise from Breaking T, one of the official partners for merch for the USFL. And they've done some great work this year for the league. Go check them out. Help us out and support the show as well by getting 10% off your purchase when you go to checkout. And finally, we can't leave the show now without mentioning Summer Stock. 3 weeks away. It is on the horizon. The biggest spring football bash this side of spring stock is coming along the way, June 30th and July 1st. What do I got to say? June 30th, you want to come with us to the Hall of Fame? You want to go be led around? See that little flag we're going to have, which we are purchasing that. It is in our inventory of items we've been discussing off show. check us out come June 30th for that, as well as July 1st, where we're going to be having our live show, special guests, giveaways, food, drink, you name it. We're going to be there, and we're going to be in primo location this year for Summer Stock 2 on the horizon. So stick around, check our socials. By the way, we have Summer Stock details out there too on our social media, and we'll keep posting that as we please. You'll especially want to stick around for guest items for those joining the show, one of them, again, I hinted last week. I have to hint again. If it is landing, it is arguably our biggest guest we have gotten on this show. And that's saying a lot given the fact that we're having Alex McGough on this week. So,
people are going to be real mad when they find out it's Ducky. Like, that's what you were talking about the whole time? I thought it was going to be someone good. But speaking of Ducky, that Ducky merch is still on sale until the championship game. That's when we're announcing how much we're giving to charity. And that's not a joke, Jack. That's the facts. We're giving back to Feeding America. Feeding America, that's the name of the charity. I think the last we checked, we're at a little bit over $100. So let's get a couple more sales of that Ducky merch through the gate before we get to that championship, because we're announcing it at Summer Stock. Another reason. And you know what? If you can't make it to Canton, Ohio, we get it. We get it. We're also going live on YouTube, so you can join us there. We'll probably have the stream loaded here in the next couple days, probably. So
another reason to sub.
Yeah, exactly. Right, it'll let you know when we go live. But you know what? You can even go hit that reminder when it comes through. You see it on your little thing when you're scrolling through your YouTube. Just click notify me. You know you want to be notified. You know you want to be there. It's the biggest party of the summer, and you'd be a fool to miss it. Ooh, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Just like Week 8, Zach. Week 8 was spectacular. We are now, can you be angry at close games and games that matter late in the season? And I think we saw a little bit of that all over the place.
I can't be mad at close games. I never will argue for a close game, as much as if it is a team losing like the Panthers. Now, credit, in the NFL, I will always be mad if the Bears lose close. But in spring football, I love close games. It means good competition. It means parity. It means that we've got guys that are hungry to play. And certainly we have been getting that throughout the last 10 games. It's been 10 straight games of one possession or less, if you will, that has been recorded. And it's funny, we had a big stretch last year was like that, but still, it has been getting better and better as the year's gone on. Teams have been getting closer and closer with each other as the year's gone on. Any given Sunday or Saturday does apply in the United States Football League. And I'll tell you one thing, it doesn't matter if you're ahead or behind, anything can happen. Just talk to your Houston Gamblers. And again, I know refs law, it apparently is a thing, except the Panthers had to wait to have that first piece of it work. So congrats to that. Houston Gamblers, they're down. They trail pretty much the majority of this contest, and they rally from behind. Mark Thompson, 2 touchdown runs, the hero of the day. The man is on a warpath right now for TDs. He could be up in the top 5 in USFL TDs, like all time by the end of the year. That was just revealed today. He's in the top 10 right now. Yeah. He could be up by top 5 if he's on the same pace.
And this is a shorter season.
Right. Yes.
Much
Remember,
shorter.
They used to play 18-game seasons back in the 80s. It's 10 games right now.
And so I know there's a lot of talk about McGough, MVP. You cannot shy your eyes away from this man, Mark Thompson. He's going so all in. 6 games, 14 carries, 98. I'm looking at the wrong point. 13 rushing touchdowns. Sorry. But in this last game, 14 carries, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's just racking them up game after game. All in. I am like this team, I'll let you in on a secret, Zach.
Sure. Bring it on. I love hearing these little bits about the Houston Gamblers. I learned so much from you about them.
At the beginning of the season, I'll tell you, a little bit of this was a little tongue-in-cheek. All in, 12-0, we're going to win every game. But boy, oh boy, I'm feeling it now. I'm telling you, this is our year. This is our dude. This is our MVP. And I think it's a race. I think it's a race to see who can have the most impressive next 2 games between McGough and Mark Thompson. Everybody's online's talking about McGough, but to me, this is a tie. This is a tie. Without Mark Thompson, we would not have won that game, the game before it, or any of the games this season. Let it be known.
That's kind of hard to say. And now I will say, given that Kenji Bahar post-injury return has not been similar to how he was pre-injury, that I think adds on a bit. Now, I'll be frank with you. If I'm talking MVP discussion, which we will dive in next week, I think we really will hit that hard. Either that or into the playoffs.
Sure.
So stay tuned. We will get predictions on all those awards because we definitely have to do it before the playoffs. They do it before the playoffs.
Right.
So we have to do it next week. That being said, Mark Thompson to me is definitely up there. I think that he makes a good case. I will say, if he can beat Wes Hills in rushing yards as 2, say he's only played 6 games. That's 2 less than Wes Hills, by the way. It's 1 less start, according to the stat sheet on the USFL's page. If he gets more rushing yards total by the end of the year, he's already beat him in average, by the way. He has the highest average in the league at 85 a game right now, 13 TDs.
Right.
If this man finishes with more rushing with less games and continues his touchdown war path, I mean, I'm at the very least the man's offensive player of the year. Like, you have to, whoever doesn't win that MVP will be the OPOW. If you get my drift with that acronym,
yeah,
or OPOM or Y, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Offensive player,
one or the other,
getting signed
those
up.
2 will get awarded. I think the question is who's the one that stands out and gets it fully is the deal. There's still some options, but like MBT is going to have to finish on a tear. And really finish on a tear for me to put him back up because he's had some off weeks in the end of the season. I mean, Wes Hills, I think, is there too, but I think you need to see him go on his early season tear and get back up there because he's still been consistent. But like Mark Thompson, I agree. It's hard to ignore Mark Thompson right now. That man is playing his best ball at the best time. So I think you're absolutely right. Something that's fascinating. Well, let's talk about this game again. Pittsburgh. Man, you've got to be kidding me. They are a better team than last year. There's no doubt. They can't get out of their way, though.
Nope.
They just can't.
Nope.
And you can't blame Chris Blewett for missing a field goal.
No, because you should have got more points. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, we didn't see anyone do that. But if you did, I would theoretically slap you across the internet because I'd be like, it's not on them.
Right.
That offense has to score touchdowns. You can't just rely on a kicker. Even if these kickers are great in the league, you can't just go, oh yeah, 8 kicks from Luis Aguilar.
Exactly.
I'm going to expect that every game, or 5 field goals. Like, no, you got to score a touchdown.
For sure. Know?
And it's not like Troy Williams had a bad day. He had well over 220 passing yards. He had a solid passing yards. They got to finish, though.
Right.
They got to protect him, too, when it matters as well. That line is still suspect.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. If you're a Maulers fan, you're sitting out there, you're watching these games. Like you said earlier, this is a better team than last year. I think that, at the end of the day, man, the North is so crazy that they still have a shot. Let's be honest here. They are not out of contention here. But they're going to have to tinker. They're going to have to maybe get a little bit of luck on their side. But I would say, this is a positive step, move forward. This is a game, though, like you said, it was a game of not being able to finish it, even down to the ending here. 20-19, 1 point. It did come down to Blewett. But you know what? Like you said, he has been consistent, like very consistent leading up to this.
Yes.
This happens. I've seen crazier things happen, at least when it comes to kicking. So like you said, it doesn't necessarily come down to him. They still need to tweak that offense. The defense, is still looking scary, right? Kenji Bahar's still coming off an injury, but they did keep the Gamblers at 20, right? The Gamblers were choked up for a good majority of that game. Had it not been for the ending, that fourth quarter, really. Reverse card of last year when it comes to the Gamblers.
Right.
20-19. I'm feeling signed up. Maulers fans, take a tough loss, but are still in it.
Right. The nature of the North is what's really keeping them in it right now. And credit, like we talked previous week, something we had said, you are on the edge of the cliff now. This was oh no, we have to do everything. Like week 9 is do or die, pretty much.
Right.
Credit, you're not all the way out. You have to still, if the Stars win and the Panthers beat you, yeah, you're done.
Right.
Like that's official. Like all the Panthers have to do and the Stars have to do is win, and then it'll basically be what jersey are we wearing contest at week 10,
right?
As well as sizing yourselves up again, like they did with the Stars and the Generals last year. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Pittsburgh, they're so close. It's been all year like this, and it's not like last year's like we talked, where it's like, oh, they're so close, but it's still been pretty incumbent. No, they're close.
Right.
They have quality pieces, and it's going to be a little rougher because they do have to deal with Bailey Gaither being doubtful for this upcoming contest. Mm-hmm. They have weapons. Isaiah Henney, they picked up Ishmael Hyman recently. Mm-hmm. Trey Walker still can catch well. Just got to figure it out. It's going to be do or die come up against my team. But, Houston, we do not have a problem.
No,
we do have a 5-3 record and sitting nice and pretty this coming week.
Oh, yeah.
At 5-3 in a tough South.
Yeah. The South is scary. Compared to the North it's really anybody's game in the North. Speaking of which, Stars, the Stars are leading the North. But I don't think there was a lot of confidence, at least in the online chatter, but when it came to the Stars and the Stallions. But man, kudos where kudos deserve. They didn't get the win, but they did go toe-to-toe with the Stallions. What a great rematch from last year's championship. Both teams putting it on the line. McGough, I'd say we talked about it earlier, but even more maybe further solidifying himself as one of the front runners in the MVP candidacy. This game kind of had it all. It was just an overall fun game to watch.
It absolutely did. It felt very much like the two top teams in the divisions facing off against each other. And that's amazing, I think, for both, because Philadelphia, remember, they were down and out. This is like there were folks in the community polls that were ranking them easily last. Like they were ugly loss post Houston contest. It was like they're out. Mm-hmm. This is not the same team. They can't protect Case Cookus or don't know how to adjust the offense. Defense is shambles compared to last year. And you know what? They're 4-4, but that is a good thing in the North. They look like the best team in the North right now. Mm-hmm. And that's not bad. Remember, they went toe-to-toe. They had Birmingham in their grasp. They scored a touchdown less than 4 minutes on the clock. They need to get one good defensive stop. Mm-hmm. It came down to one drive from the Stallions that basically sealed their fate. 30 seconds on the clock. Nice pass to the front corner of the end zone to Michael Petway to seal the deal, essentially in a win with 30 seconds on the clock, 27-24. And it took an MVP effort of sorts from Alex McGough, 333 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. He lifted that team up, and they played some of their best ball. It was fun contest. And if anything, like I said, Stars fans got to be happy. This is what you expected from to get at the beginning of the year. Right. Now they look just like themselves from last year. They're getting hot at the right time.
Oh, 100%.
Even with the loss. Birmingham, I think they found their identity.
Oh, yeah.
They've been soul searching all year, and now they've got it all wrapped up right now.
Oh, sure. Well, and the Stars, like you said, getting hot at the right time, almost like last season. We talked about it last week. It's almost like somebody has to come up to them midseason and be like, hey, guys, you've been in the championship every season of the old and new USFL. And they're like, oh, yeah, don't worry about it, guys. We got it. We're just loosening up the rust, getting oiled up. We're ready to go. And shucks, wouldn't you know it, man? They took the loss, but they're still leading the North. Honestly, I'm a weird guy when it comes to sports. I think taking this loss is actually good. Because you kind of want that little reinforcement going into the off season of, we're not impenetrable. We're not, unstoppable. It gives you a chance to look at the things that didn't work because, truth be told, you may be playing this team again in 3 weeks. It's very possible.
You are not wrong.
Right.
You can't settle in either. All that did was basically say, hey, getting a win would have helped. They would have separated themselves. Then it would have been, hey, it's Michigan's problem now, right, or it's Pittsburgh or New Jersey's problem. Now you do have to come in week 9 and go, hey, we had that tough loss to Birmingham, but we got to be on our A game. We can finish it off now.
Right.
Let's take that performance last week and go against this general squad, our rival, which these two rosters we talked about with Channing Stribling in the offseason and company, they do look at each other as having beef with each other. Now, Stribling's not going to be playing, sadly, but these guys do know that it's a desperate near end of season game with implications.
Right.
Massive implications. And Philadelphia's playing their best ball. Got to be great. I got to give a shout out, by the way, Corey Coleman. Dear God, that man, another one, I think a dark horse candidate for late offensive player of the year nod. I mean, leading receiving now. It was Sage Surratt's award, it seemed, for the whole year.
Sure, yeah.
And now Coleman's overtaken by 7 yards, and he looks like he's going to be a consistent, like 70 to 100-yard receiver to end the season.
Again,
at this point, he's showing up and showing out.
It feels like season one because I just remember season one. We started the beginning of the season. My God, what are they doing with the offensive line? Where's their running game? And then we're in the second season, second half of the season. Both times, Matt Colburn just like coming in, lines working a little bit better. Yeah, they got to tighten up a couple things, but. I mean, they didn't even have that. Like, what did they go in with last year? 6-4? Was that their record going into the right? Like,
they're on the path right now to possibly 6-4. Although, who knows? Honestly, with the North, I mean,
who knows?
We could see a 5-5 and 4-6 combo.
Yeah, I mean,
possibly, or even, and it'll be 4-6. No way you see a 3-7. That I almost went off the diving board.
That would be wonky. That would be
no, it wouldn't happen. It would be 4-6. Will be most likely your scenario. But the North is right now. It's just how it is. 13-3 is the South's record against the North. It is clearly right now the better division in terms of performance.
Right.
But the North. I mean, you saw Philadelphia. They can keep up.
Right.
And as we'll talk about with my Michigan Panthers, they showed they can keep up. That's all I can put it. But I'm getting ahead of myself.
Right.
Got to go to the Sunday game prior. Memphis against New Jersey. The Showboats rattling off. It's 5 wins now.
Man.
They are 5-0 since going 0-3 against the Gamblers. That Houston game has rallied the troops. They are on a warpath right now. And what's weird is they still aren't out of the woods. They have to clear tough South competition to end the year with Birmingham and New Orleans on the docket. But against New Jersey, what did they do? They took care of business, and they did it the way that they mostly have been all year since that 5-game win streak has started. Defense has been dominating for the Showboats. That defense does not look anything similar to what it was in week 2. It has been the driving force and the catalyst to pretty much anything else I think this team does. And credit, you look at, and you think some people might think I'm crazy, but look at how they did against New Jersey. Yes, Memphis has an offense that can efficiently move the ball when needed. It's not the most explosive team in the league, but what it does have is a defense that can cause turnovers, get you short yardage situations, and get you enough stops to where your offense and Todd Haley can sit down and go, all right, let's put a solid drive or two together. I'm trying to talk like Todd, but let's put a solid drive or two together. If we can keep on putting the pressure on defense, we'll just slowly chip ahead. And that's what they did. 25-16. They scored 1 touchdown this past week. The rest of it was on Alex Kessman, who had a hell of a day kicking.
Oh, sure.
It was his turn to shine in the spotlight.
Which I love to see. I think we may have mentioned this last week or maybe the week prior, but I think it's worth bringing it up again. I'm so happy that look at the turnaround we've seen in kicking season over season, right? Remember how much of a big talking point that was early season 1? Yes, there was some issues with the chip and the ball and the this and that, but even when they got rid of the chip, there was still not everything was going the way maybe you would want it to. Fast forward to this year, we're seeing records broken week after week. We're seeing consistent kicking past the 50. I mean, we might. I'm feeling confident that we're going to see some of these guys get scooped up by the NFL. I mean, I know a few teams that would take an Alex Kessman, a Cole Murphy, a Luis Aguilar, Chris Blewett even, right? Like, I mean, it's crazy that I could just name off that many kickers that are all performing solidly.
5 of the 8 kickers in the USFL are kicking 85% or better from field goal range.
Yeah.
That is with 10 or more field goals. Nick Skibba has 10 attempts. He's nailed 9. Still, though, that even with that being the minimum that I'm placing on this, that is wild. Otherwise, I mean, Chris Blewett would be in that conversation if it hasn't been for recent performances.
Sure.
And again, you aren't knocking him for this last game.
Yeah,
Don't you dare. He has still been one of the best. Cole Murphy, who's had a few hiccups this year. Actually, it's funny. The worst kicker in the league, this is what shocked me. Nick Vogel has had a massive off year. I mean, we were kind of, you and I heard him get chewed out week 1, but it has kind of continued. He has not been from XPs and from field goal range. It's 7 of 11, but still, you miss 4 field goals, you mix 4 XPs. I mean, that's points off the board right there, But even that being said, the whole floor has been excellent. And Kessman kind of points that out for the Showboats. It's been a great turnaround for them. He's been part of it. Cole Murphy, pedestrian effort, but for the most part, he gets the job done. And he's really been more about the leadership aspect. If anything, you want to talk offensive production, Kareth White was the man on Sunday. He was the guy. The Showboats were terrible in the run game beginning of the year. Slowly but surely, him and Washington. They're getting more efficient on when to run. Yeah. That's the next thing. They got runners. This game, they realized we can't do multiple series at the end of a game, 3 and out, where it's 2 straight in a row. We're going to do 3 runs, punt it away. And they did a great job. New Jersey, I don't know what to tell you. The QB scenario continues to be a problem. Now, DeAndre Johnson's coming back this week. We'll touch on that, but that doesn't mean he's playing.
Right.
Our own James Larson reported that he doesn't see Kyle Aletta on the roster anymore. So he might be gone. Dakota Prukup's still there. But it's a little more than that. I think offensively there's no punch on their side, and it has not done them at all any favors. They have a run game, but they don't have anything in the past to supplement it. And if you key in on it, basically you just shut them down. You slow them down enough to where you can only get them in like 2-minute panic mode scenarios at the end of contests like they did with this, where they got 2 touchdowns that were kind of basically garbage time touchdowns later in this game. Defensively, they're doing solid, but what else can you do? If your offense doesn't have the production and you have a coach that, and again, I critique, if you have a coach that continues to flip-flop for either reasons or non-reasons, that's what's crazy. Like, there's no consistency on that. Still hasn't been that way. And it just leads to meh. That's all it can describe as meh.
There's two words that you said right there that remind me of something about the next game. One was meh. The other one was consistency.
Well, true.
And boy, I don't know if it's a consistency thing, an inconsistency thing on both parts a little bit here, but the Panthers, I need to speak up on something.
Sure.
I love the Panthers. Sign them up. Let's hunt. North gang, the whole thing. But what the F, I'll say, on the timeout situation. First, you threw away a challenge. Honestly, I think the league should have been like, no, we're not even going to let you. What do you mean you want to challenge that? No.
That point alone deserves its own separate conversation. What is a proper time to challenge? Because honestly, I know some folks have tried to make a point saying, Mike Pereira's got too many slip-ups this year or something, yada, yada, yada. To me, he hasn't. I think he's done still an excellent job.
Yeah, I think so.
And I don't think there's any conversation there. As long as he still can do it competently, which to me he has, he's fine. That being said, to add on to this point, if he's doing it competently and he is watching every play, when do you challenge? Because I feel like challenges are like almost not even necessary anymore, because you have an official sitting there watching these plays and can stop the game at his own will and say, you know what, this is wrong. You know what, this is right. You know what, he shouldn't challenge this. And he even relays to people that are newer into this in early weeks, hey, if you challenge it, like, I'm already looking at it. Right. Like, why do you do it? Like, it almost feels like Mike Nolan. You've been in this league the whole season. There's guys looking at this.
Well, and it'd be one thing if there wasn't, like, I don't know, Zach, big screens in the stadium showing a replay of this ball that it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't. It was for a dinky. There's some angles
that didn't bounce off a foot.
Right.
That's the thing that kills me. It was obvious. It was so obvious.
It was bad. And then to go on and just waste the last 2 timeouts, I think you were left, it was either 11 or 12 minutes left in the game, which I'll say you could have probably, the Panthers could have won this game 25-22. Now, if you would have watched the beginning of the game, you said there's no way the Panthers are coming into this game. Saba, sign them up for like keeping them in this, stopping MBT, because they were up 21-3, I think, right?
Held them to 3 points in the second half.
Yeah.
Held them to 3 points. They were on a tear. It looked like New Orleans was going to make this one of the most boring games of the season.
Yeah.
And they held them to 3 points. Offense gets you within 4, and you're going, oh, good. After this Trey Quinn TD, great. We got him.
Right.
You know what? We got the momentum. Josh Love has been on a tear these last weeks, which he had a good game.
Sure.
That's what sinks.
Live, laugh,
but you know
love.
what? But I got to give a credit on the opposite side, because you know what New Orleans did after Mike Nolan and company blew through all their timeouts? I got to give props, because all they did, they said, you know what? They have no timeouts. Mm-hmm. If we get a sack on them, we're it. Yeah. They sent the house. The end of the game, they just started sending people. Said, you know what? Let's just bring him down. Let's just get pressure on Josh. Let's make a mistake. And eventually he did. He had a pass that became a fumble that knocked him out of field goal range. So they couldn't chip a field goal in to get it closer. And by the time everything was said and done, they buried him back in their own side, couldn't get efficiently down the field. And then Josh Love can't throw a Hail Mary to the end zone. He throws it 10 yards short. And such inefficiency of those timeouts hurt so much. It's very much a game that you're seeing it. It slips through your fingers. And I can feel it slipping through my fingers. I'm going, we have the momentum, guys. The defense is doing a job. Frank Ginda's a freaking player of the week. Braylon Speaks is doing all he can to get pressure on MBT. And you tell me you can't muster one drive? You can't handle these timeouts one game?
Well, this is the thing. And I mean, all the gamblers, no pun intended, the real money gamblers, they should be paying attention to ref's law here. If you would have watched the first game of the week, you would have saw the gamblers barely win. And now we saw the Panthers, who did everything in their might to lose this game, barely lose. Right? How do you, again, if you had those timeouts, I have to say you at least get a touchdown. At absolute minimum, this is a 25-25 game, because you at least have a little bit more time to think on that last drive. Really calculate what you're trying to do here. It takes Nola out of the situation where they know they just got to get you a sack, right? It changes the whole dichotomy of that ending.
It does.
I mean, but you know what? It makes this flipping playoff scenario so intriguing now with the North, because, I mean, we'll look at a couple things here real quick, actually. So we have 10 consecutive games decided by one score. Mm-hmm. All 8 teams in the league, 2-2 in their respective division. All 8 teams still eligible for playoff contention. So as much as the Panthers looks so poor in the first, came back to make this a game, but at the end of it bungled it. I mean, they're number 2. They're in. If the season ended now, they're in the playoffs.
I know, but this is the North we're talking about. This is what's crazy. Now credit, I'll give them that. The Panthers, for some reason or another, we'll call it a curse, because why not? They play better on the road, one way or another. Although Canton, they played in Canton this year. My thing is that you're looking at a revenge game against Michigan or against Pittsburgh in this contest. Defensively, it's going to be tough for them. That's the thing. Now, again, the Panthers, they can bring one thing that makes a weakness for Pittsburgh, and that's they have a good pass rush, and they have good defenders to send at Troy Williams and company when we talk about this. But it just feels like if you're the Panthers, you're sitting there, you're going, we could be 4-4 right now, and essentially just almost lock this up.
Right.
Where we put a gap on it, even though we're in the same hub as Philadelphia, we can have something to play for. We're like, we won the division.
Right.
It's a rallying cry. And now you sit here, force 3 turnovers, by the way, 2 picks off MBT. They got a West Hills fumble. How do you, and you lose a game with 3 turnovers too. Like, there's so many things. I just look at that and I'm going, how, grinding through my teeth, because that's what I've almost become expecting it as much as I hate it. so much.
Refs
He got
law.
221 yards from Josh Love, 2 touchdowns. He threw a pick, but he still was having one of his better days.
Yeah.
He's one of the better QBs in this league when he's given time and he doesn't throw it directly into the lineman's hands. Wild stuff. And another sad key thing, Reggie Corbin's shoulder injury.
Yeah.
Which also that one was hard to watch. He definitely was very emotional, very much feeling like his season was over. And I hope it's not, but usually players can tell.
Oh, sure.
With that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it seems like he's going to be out this upcoming week. But you know what? Hopefully it's nothing major because, I mean, let's be honest. There's a very good likelihood that the Panthers make it to the playoffs. I'm going to say it. And I'm not even trying to be funny, facetious, reverse curse, whatever you want to call it. I see it happening. So, I mean, that could be your 1-2 punch coming back into the going into the playoffs, but we'll see. We hope, at least we hope.
Get business done this week.
Right.
That's what's going to have to come down to it. We'll find out if we think we can get it done soon enough. I get to make that pick. So we'll have fun. Who wins, pessimist self or positive self? We'll find out very soon. But we got more coming up before we get to that point in this show for episode 60. Let's talk about the playoff scenarios one more time before we dive into a few more of our big nuggets and content, if you will, for this episode. So Week 9 playoff scenarios, the league revealed this along with USFL Comms, the league's official communications, social media pages. If Philadelphia wins this week, these are all playoff scenarios, by the way, for the teams that can clinch. If Philadelphia wins this week, simple, they're in. They're 4-4 right now. They'd be 5-4. You're pretty much have put yourself on an island to where you would just need that W. You're in no matter what. Yep. And keep in mind that no matter what happens here, they all really play in Canton, so it's a neutral site. But you're basically wanting to get your playoff clinching here. That's the big deal. If you're Michigan, you need to win, but you also need the Stars to win. So you're basically rooting for your hub buddy, like, hey, can you take care of New Jersey for us? So they got to take care of business first game of the week against Pittsburgh. Then they have to wait till the end of the week, see Philadelphia in primetime, hopefully take care of New Jersey. Both of them clinch. They sing Kumbaya, go play each other in week 10, and awkwardly play a dance of what do we do with this game. Finally, in the South, simple one, Birmingham, who's been on a tear as well, underscored by Memphis, funny enough. Win, you're in. Doesn't mean you guarantee that protective stadium playoff bid, but you'd be one step closer to doing so. Funny thing about the South, not only is it very competitive this year, but home field advantage is very much at play right now. And there are a lot of Stallions fans we've talked to. They are chomping at the bit to get a home playoff berth now so they can come out.
You know, it's unfortunate, though, because the Stallions fans, you know who they're the biggest, scaredest of? Gamblers.
Houston.
All in. We ruined their day. Gamblers' luck, baby. The ref might need to write another check. Ooh, we better hope it clears. Maybe I will be the $1 million man on the next episode. We'll have to see. Tune in next week to find out. Ooh, I'm feeling good.
They really have been. The Houston Gamblers really have been since they've come back. Really their Achilles heel. Even with them getting a win against them, still the only team they've lost to in a losing record, 1-2 since their return. Could be even after this week. Could be even deeper. We'll talk about that shortly. Before we do that, though, we gave you the hint. We told you who's coming up. We're going to start doing that more often, by the way. We'll tell you which player's on earlier on as we go. But we had to let you know who's coming on this one. And I was happy. We're getting one of the best players in the league, a hero over there in Birmingham right now. Not only last year in the championship, but this year, dude's been able to play to his full strength. He has been putting up the highlights, the web gems, whatever you want to call them. And he's an MVP candidate, as we've talked about. Alex McGough joined me this week. He got a nice chance to sit down. We got to chat one-on-one. Love the conversation. Love the chat. Kind of went all over the place. So, sit back, relax, enjoy. And we'll let you tune in. I'll give you my few thoughts after the fact. But here's Alex McGough sitting with me this week on the USFL Podcast interview series. Welcome, everyone, into the latest edition of the USFL Podcast interview series, bringing you players, coaches, and personalities from around the United States Football League. Today, I am joined by one of the stars of this league and one of the hometown heroes, it seems, of this league in terms of growing the Birmingham connection to the USFL. It is Alex McGough, starting quarterback for the Birmingham Stallions, joining me on the show. Alex, great to chat with you on this. First off, I mean, congrats on many of the accomplishments so far this year. Team has been kicking it 6-2, really been rallying the troops as of late. How are things with you though? I mean, honestly, kind of starting into the season, it feels like almost like a role reversal of last year now, where you're starting and getting all the reps, having to kind of step in for Jamar.
Yeah, well, first off, thanks for having me on the show, Zach. I appreciate it. But yeah, it's been a role reversal, like you said. I never want to see anybody get hurt, and I'm upset, that he got hurt, because he was, a good friend, good person, and it's hard to see when, all these people get hurt. But I just think that even last year we had the next man up mentality. I didn't ever question the talent that I had, or if anybody else had on the team. So I just think that when the opportunity presented itself, we took advantage of it, and tried not to look back or look at distractions, and we just try to focus on 1 week at a time and one play at a time, and we've been able to have success.
You definitely have, and I think a lot of people have been very. I think in Birmingham have loved that attitude where you, Jamar, Skip Holtz kind of share that that triangular bond, if you will, between just team success first. We'll get where we need to, and we all can contribute as needed. What is your relationship like with Skip Holtz? It's funny, over the 2 years we've gotten to watch you I think you and Skip transform in a lot of ways. Just sideline interviews, discussions. We get a lot of the audio, as you know, a lot of the sideline mics, as you know, so far. How's that relationship between you guys through 2 seasons now?
Well, I think last year I was a little hard-headed, and I kind of would always butt heads with him. But I think this year I've trusted him, and he's trusted me. And I think that you've seen the growth of us two together, and the way that we can communicate on the field. And that comes from practice. Like that doesn't come from just like, oh, well, what are you seeing out there? It's like, it's collective over the week of me watching film and knowing what I like against their personnel and what he likes. And we just always bounce ideas off of each other and try to come up with the best play possible. But I just think the one thing that I'll say from year 1 to year 2 is just the trust in each other, and the confidence that we have that we both are going for the same thing and the same purpose. And he's helped me so much in a lot of ways in my life, on the field, off the field, and I owe him a lot, and I really appreciate him and everything he's done.
I'm very glad. And I had to have a conversation with him earlier this year. Got to meet up with him at one of the meetups that you guys were at the beginning of the week 1 season of the season. Always a pleasure talking with him and getting a chat. Yep. And for yourself, it's funny, you Skip, you have to kind of rebuild the offense. It's funny, week 1, you get that win. There's a lot of key entries on this roster that were vital to what the identity of Birmingham was last year. So not only you stepping in for Jamar, but now you got Bobby Holly out, Bo Scarborough, you got bruisers on that run game that leave. And now you have, CJ Maribel's very talented. So is Quandre White, but it almost feels like you have to kind of find your identity. I would say, and correct me if I'm wrong, you can choose that, but it looks like you might have found some offensive identity. Is that process taking longer than you expected? Or you say you guys are finally cracking the code on what works best, given kind of the audibles you've had to make as a roster?
Yeah, I will say, Marlon Williams was also lost in week 1
too. Yes.
But I just think we're the same plays. We got the same plays. We got the same schemes. And I just think that it's just a trust factor between everybody on the field. Like, football is a game of trust, and I got to trust every receiver that is going to do the right thing, and they have to trust me that I'm going to find the open receiver. The line has to trust that I'm going to make their blocks right. And I just think the more you play with certain people, and the more confidence you have in them, and the more comfortable you are with them, the better that it looks, and the better that it seems and feels. And I just think that with such a short preseason to the first game, it's hard to get that with these guys. And I think that's why the NFL has OTAs. That's why they have a long 6-week training camp, 5-week training camp now. But it's starting to get there and it's starting to build. And I just think that we could be so good. I just think, sometimes we shoot ourselves in the foot. Last week we had 2 fumbles. Like I have one in a situation where it hits the hip of a running back and CJ just has the ball in the wrong arm and it's just a freak accident. But I mean, we just feel like the only people, I guess, that can stop us is ourselves. And I just think if we go execute each play like it's the game winner to win the game last week, nobody can beat us. And I just think we got to take that every play.
And you guys are in a great driver's seat right now as we're chatting, 6-2, sitting at the top of the South. Credit, quite the competitive South. You guys have definitely taken your chips a long way from the tops in the league so far. How do you describe for you competition level? I mean, for us as the viewers, it looks, we can look at the standings, kind of go parity seems it's like grown around the league. I mean, player wise too. I mean, you got to have noticed something on the field as well. Like the South is no slouch. It's coming down the wire this year. Last year, you guys coming up this week for the 2022 season would be locking things down. This year, it's kind of everyone's ball game really to the end. And even though you have a clinching scenario, that doesn't mean anything until week 9's passed and if you get that win down.
Correct. I've always said this, and I'll say it again. Pete Carroll said to us, if you prepare like this week's the championship game, when it comes to the championship, it's just another game. And I just think that I don't look at, well, if we win, we are in the playoffs, or if we win, we win the whole thing. Because if we lose, you lose. Like,
right.
It's like, it's just every game is a must win because you want to hold your own fate. You want to hold your own destiny. You want to be able to say, I gave everything I have. And if that's a win, that's a win. If it's a loss, I gave everything that I had. And I just think that everyone on the team has that same mindset of, if we just win this week, that's it. But we had that since week 1. If we just win this week, And I just think that our guys are so good at blocking all the noise out, putting the blinders on and just running the race, that all the noise about the playoffs and the clinching and if you lose this week, well, then next week becomes a little fishy. It's just win this game. And if we don't, we'll win the next one. And it's just like, we got to just keep that mindset.
Mm-hmm. Week by week. And it's kind of the best way, I would say, for a South division, the way it is right now, to just kind of take that approach, given that anybody's game right now. That's what's wild. I wanted to step away from football for 1 second, because, I mean, look, Birmingham, you've been there 2 years. It's a little bit different this year. You're sharing it with one team now, which, it's kind of chippy from what we've talked in the past from between two teams with other players on each side. But both of you guys, as of this week while we're talking, it's a lot of give back, a lot more community engagement this year, a lot of kind of just getting involved with the local community. How has Birmingham been for you? I know you guys have been doing a lot of food bank work, especially this week. Would you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah. With food bank, we did a little, we went to the food bank, I think on Monday, and just help pack boxes and get everything situated. And it's just something that we just want to be able to do something that helps people, because they do. The community of Birmingham does things to help us. They come to the games, they support us, they wear our stuff proudly. Like when they see us in public, they, oh my God, what's up? Like it's just, that's awesome. And the fact that we have the ability to, or the chance to give back to them. And I don't think I've missed one yet. Like I'll go whenever, wherever. And just to like help people out is something that I'll try to do. And we've done a really good job as far as other guys and making sure we're getting out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you guys have been doing a great job. I saw that you helping to give out 10,000 free ice cream scoops.
Yeah, that's
pretty awesome. And for a cause, every scoop donates $1, giving a total of $10,000 to one of the said local food banks that we are discussing about. So I thought that was really a great way to give back and have a little bit of fun with community. I want you to confirm a story for me. This is kind of something that one of the local accounts, Birmingham Sports, their media group in town, they brought up a story post week 8. So you win against the New Orleans Breakers, and someone from Birmingham Sports reports that he sees you running in Railroad Park, and kids start chasing you. Basically, Rocky. You remember that at all? Like any
Yeah.
type of event like that? Because the guy, I talked with him, and he's going, "Man, I wish I had a video." But it got like a bunch of great interaction online. So you shake your head. You remember this at all?
I mean, I go for a run usually on Monday, so like 2 days after the game, just to get the body like running again and active again and get all the lactic acid out. But I'm not going to deny the kids running. I can't confirm because I really was not paying attention. I had a hood on. I had my AirPods in, just cooking it. So I'm not going to deny it. So
yeah, I got to be in the zone. That's fair enough, and keep yourself active. And you talk about running. I mean, dude, you're arguably the most mobile QB in the league. Is there an art to the scramble drill, to kind of just the break the pocket loose and kind of watch where you're going? Because I mean, sometimes it feels like it's a ballet dance when you have someone like yourself, or you watch another QB. Like there had people on FS1 that compared you to one or two plays of yours, like Patrick Mahomes' type of like evading. Is there any, I would say, non-impromptu style to that, or do you just kind of go with the flow once the pocket breaks?
I mean, you said, is there an art to it, art form? It's freestyle art. It's it's just there's a couple like moves that I have like in my head because I know they work. Like if I'll step one way to go the other way, that's a move just to get them off balance and shift their weight just to get around them. But it's pretty much freestyle. Like it's just pure reactionary to where they are, how fast they're running, where they're looking almost. And it's something that I've always just had a feel for, I guess. Just ever since I was growing up, I just kind of always knew how to run around people. But I enjoy it. It's fun. And I know that it gives coach anxiety and all that, but it's fun. And I like it. And the line does a really good job too of letting people go. Because I told him, if the D line starts running in the opposite direction, he's mine. Like I'll take him. Like I've left the pocket and I know that they're unblocked, and they've done a really good job of not getting holdings and things like that. And but yeah, it's a freestyle art form that I've tried to master.
Well, so far so good. I'd love to revisit another story of your running art form. You did have a discussion with a certain wall in Ford Field at Detroit. Have you had a little time to rethink those quotes? How is it? Look, I follow a lot of arena football, so I get it. But how do you take running into a wall like that and kind of getting your frustration out?
Yeah, well, so like as I was running out of bounds, I kind of got like pushed, and there was a camera guy right there, so I had to like avoid him. And by the time I put the brakes on, I was already in the wall, and like I just hit it, and I just started like, I don't know, I just looked at it, and I said something, but I don't remember. And then a couple of the fans above the wall started laughing, and it was just kind of funny. But I've been to the Protective Stadium, and we've talked. Me and the wall talked a little bit, and he would never hit me like that. So
a lot more. Home field is a little kinder to those.
He said he wouldn't hit me like that.
You get the home crowd. I mean, Section 104, the Horsemen, they can negotiate a few things.
Yeah,
a few things sure. Done clearly. I totally get it. It's your home place. Now you are playing on the road though. Has it been I know Skip has talked at length that it is a little bit nice that we get to get out of Birmingham. As much as it's nice to be at home, you get to visit away from home. How those travels been for you? We talked just about Detroit, but I mean you've gone to Canton. You got Memphis coming up, soon. So get a little bit, get to spread your legs, right?
Yeah. So you kind of just I always thought that the best team bonding was a road game because it's just y'all, it's just the team, and you get to really experience things that you might not get to experience, like the night before the game. Excuse me. Me and Jalen, the backup quarterback, are just chopping it up in the room, just kind of like talking. and you don't get that here because I'm in my own apartment. Like I'm just kind of away from everybody. But it's been fun. It's been fun. It's been a little challenging for me just because I have my food allergies and like I can't eat certain things, and so I have to bring all of my own food, like in a cooler on the plane and on the bus, and so it was a little challenging, but it's something that I enjoy doing. I enjoy playing on the road. I love hearing boos. I love hearing opposing fans, but it's been good, and I really grown the team as more of a team.
Yeah, I used to love those in high school. That shows you how far back for me. But yeah, no, I still totally, man. The food allergy thing seems like such a buzzkill, though. I mean, you just get to enjoy some of the stuff locally, right? Like it's not just that you're stuck to like what you want, unless you are good. I mean, do you consider yourself a chef, a connoisseur of the cooking?
I am a chef in the sense of one meal.
All right.
Ever since preseason started, I've had the same thing 5 times a day, every day. So, yeah.
5 times a day. What's the? If you don't mind me asking, what is that meal? You're baiting me with it. You're baiting me with a 5 times a day thing. I know Stallions fans like, what's he eating?
Well, I eat 5 times a day, 6 ounces of chicken.
Okay.
And then depends on what I'm doing when I'm practicing, what the game time is, but it's just rice, spinach, and avocados. And it's just the weight and like the total amount of each thing depends on what I'm doing that day or what I've done that day.
Keeps you healthy and lean to keep running around. I say that it's doing its work. Alex, hey, I appreciate the time. Glad to have you on here. Before I let you go, you got any message for the fans back, at least in Birmingham where you're at? I mean, look, you don't have more home games, so closest thing you get is you got later on a road trip to Memphis later in the year. Still got business to work, of course, this week, so not going to skip ahead. But I mean, final home game's over, said and done. Unless certain situations work out.
Yeah, so I just, we, the Stallions, really, really appreciate them and everything that they've done this year as far as giving us a home field advantage, because that it was a true home field advantage. I mean, they were loud on defense and they would erupt and we would score. And I mean, it just helps a lot when you got people behind you. And after, before the last drive, I had everybody, you could hear them, just the confidence they were instilling in me, like they already knew that we were going to go score. So it was really good time, and I just want them to know we have not forgotten that we could still have another home game. That is something that we want, and that we are going to try to get for them because they deserve it. And we'll see you there then, I guess.
Hey, as you said, one game at a time would be pretty awesome for those fans. And if anything, it's just for overall league, it's great to watch. Great to watch you play. Great to see what the Stallions are doing. It's a fun team to watch it week in, week out. Can't wait to see what you guys do this weekend in a revenge game of sorts against the Houston Gamblers. Although now you got to go to Memphis for that, but yeah, it is what it is.
Yep.
Should be a fun one though. Alex, thank you for your time. Wishing you the best, man. Keep doing what you're doing. You're rocking out there, and we love watching you play.
All right. Thanks, Zach. I appreciate it.
Hey, thanks again to MVP candidate. I'm going to put MVP candidate Alex McGough, quarterback, Birmingham Stallions, for joining us. QB1. Really, as I joked on that interview, the right now been considered the Patrick Mahomes of the league, and some of the highlights he's been given. Because that's some people, like I said, it's not just USFL folks tuning in. Like, there's been a few highlights that have gone viral to where people are like, "Damn, he does look like a Patrick Mahomes type of guy." And like he said, there's not really an exact art form to the scramble, but I mean, there are elements that help you do scramble and keep yourself at least more active outside of the pocket. So like, he gave plenty of praise to his line, which has been great. But like, as you see, I mean, athletically gifted as he is, keeping plays alive, and it's paying off for Birmingham. They have well adjusted post Jamar Smith this year, and other weapons. They have gotten themselves a new identity. and it's been showing through Alex McGough's play.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, they're a fun team to watch. And I mean, that was just a fun interview to listen to. Like I said, I mean, if he does get the MVP over my guy, Mark Thompson, all in, it couldn't happen to a better dude. You know what? Sign him up there. Sign him up there. But you know what that leads us to now, Zachy boy? We got question of the week. Let's kick that intro real quick. Sign him up. Okay, we got a question of the week, but actually I got a question of the week for you, Zach.
Oh, I have my own?
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Did you put your cards in your suitcase?
I forgot. No, I did not.
I told you I'm going to ask every week. Every week. You know what, Zach? You teed me up for that too. You know, no curtains. Zach was like, actually, you want to tee it up? I was like, yeah, actually, I do. I got a question.
Oh my God. You know what? I will do it right after this because we'll no curtains. We're recording super late this week.
Tune in next week.
Box.
Find out the conclusion to the story.
Find out next week if
more.
I actually did what I said. I have a box right here. It is in front of me. I'm looking at the box. If I don't do it, clearly I am. I need to ask my doctor about my memory problems. Is what it will be.
Oh man, that's too much fun. I can't wait to do this bit again next week. Oh, good times.
Oh, you'll love loading that up. Here's the actual question of the week. Oh God, you got me really good there. That was good. Question of the week, and I you can tell I wrote this one because I put it's time for question of the week because you'll just throw it out there and do that. I'm like, I mean,
it probably is better to let people know, but I like people to pay attention. Refresh that page every 5 minutes.
So it's one of the perks you get for following at USFL Podcast on Twitter.
Right.
Question of the week: which players, 80s or modern era, are on your USFL Mount Rushmore? Now I was wondering if we would get all serious or like a majority joke. We got like half and half, so I'm glad that this came up. Actually, one of them I'm gonna just throw right away was a joke, and I was like, okay, that's damn funny for one way or another. Someone put Kirby Wilson 4 times, and no offense to Kirby, I love the man, but I laughed so hard because someone went out of their way and said, you know what, I love Kirby. Kirby's my all 4 heads on my Mount Rushmore.
Kirby's gonna surface up somewhere and he's gonna like have the season of a lifetime to shun all of his haters. But I mean, I did get I got a good chuckle out of that one as well. Same here, Ducky's. His was half serious and half joke. So he had Kyle Sloter, Boogie Roberts, Matt Mengel, and Kyle Sloter again, but in a Breakers jersey, which I like that one as well. Hype coming in here, one of each, which I like. He had Johnny Walton of the Boston Breakers. I know these new kids nowadays might be like, Boston Breakers, it's the New Orleans Break. You know, check your history. There used to be a Boston Breakers 1983. And he also mentioned our man, Reggie Corbin. Let's hunt.
Johnny Walton. I had to look this up because I was curious because I've heard this name thrown around a bit, but you know, just a little background. He's a multiple connoisseur of leagues from 1969 all the way to 1984. Played in multiple leagues, including the WFL World Football League. For those that really want to dive into old spring football, he also played for the Eagles for 3 years, or was on their roster, and 2 years with the New Orleans or Boston Breakers, whichever one you call it, because in 83, it was Boston. They moved in 84 to New Orleans, where they are now renamed New Orleans. But he had much of his better years down there in New Orleans. For example, in 1984, finished second in 1983, finished second in the league with over 3,500 yards passing, 3,772 yards, and then third in the league with 20 touchdown passes to lead the Breakers to an 11-4 record in their first year of existence. Walton owns the USFL record for most passing attempts in a season at 598, which was set during that 83 season. So a little bit of fun fact. If you're curious, hey, check out some of these stars in the 80s. There's a lot of good players that weren't just Pro Bowlers and guys that went to the NFL. There's a lot of dudes that were in their respected right pretty good. Oh, yeah. That's a great one that Hype brought up to highlight. Reggie Corbin, I mean, I love him too. What can I say? I'm just going to assume that he had 2 pieces each. or it was a semi-finished Mount Rushmore before it got all four of the.
We got plenty
presidential
more
heads.
years of this new USFL to go. You got to fill it out.
Here's a few more. Luke Miller, Alex McGough 4 times. There was something like this. I'm like, you know what? You love a player that much, you got to give respect. And Alex McGough's playing where it's like that time 4 times over. USFL Today, which is our buddy Angelo, who runs that show. He went more the traditional route, and he was a guy. He grew up in the 80s era, and he loves the new era. So this one, I'm not surprised at all. Herschel Walker, Jim Kelly, Reggie White, and Sam Mills. All those guys, all 4 of them, by the way. Well, 3 of them. 3 of them, NFL Hall of Famers. One of them, Herschel Walker, was incredible college and pro running back. And Herschel Walker also still holds the pro rushing record. Just got to keep spreading that word at that, too. So not a bad life he's been living as well as a football player. Ackland USF
Alucard, which is Dracula backwards.
Is that wow? I didn't even look at that hard.
Yeah, it's like
you get to read off the
Dracula.
players. You said that. You said it. You get to read.
I used to be. Well, actually, I'm not going to say that because I don't want people to dox me. Anyway, that's a goodie. 80s. Bobby A. Bear, Jim Kelly, my man, all in. Sign him up. Herschel Walker, Reggie White, Steve Young, honorable mention.
As an honorable mention.
Which,
that sounds weird.
Right. Ken Gill, Jim Kelly, favorite football player of all time. Herschel Walker, Reggie White. Then we got a couple funny guys here at the end. I actually have one from the Discord as well. So we got Eli here from Twitter, just Kyle Sloter, sign him up.
Okay.
Emery Lewis, 4 Shark Dogs. But you know what the Discord wants to know. You know what, Zach, let's be honest here. You know what the Discord wants to know. They want to know what's on Mel's. You know they want to know what's on Mel's.
Of course they want to know what's on Mel's.
And it's Josh Love, Mike Nolan, maybe just those two. Just those two. Maybe, and the rest of it will be all of your missed timeouts.
Josh Love, Mike Nolan.
And a bunch of a challenge flag is the third one.
No, that's what it is. The Rushmore is the 3 missing timeouts from last week, and Josh Love.
Josh Love not spiking the ball with. Anyway.
No.
The fans wanted to know, I can't give the fans what they want. Give the fans
Josh
what
Love
they
not
want.
spiking the ball.
Sign him up. You know what? He's going to prove it. He's going to win the championship, Zach. Oh, did the Panther come out for a second? Oh, my goodness.
Oh, hang on now.
Like, whoa. I had an out-of-body experience. My goodness.
Michigan will win. Oh, dang, that slipped out really quick. Gotta control myself a little.
Oh, man.
You know what? I want to talk about some control because I think Brian Woods does not know when to quit football, and he has found himself back in the ring. Mm-hmm. We are talking about the former president of the league, Brian Woods. We were wondering, some of us have been, where is Brian these days? What's he up to? And sure enough, he's not done.
No,
he's back.
Sign him up
now at the high school level. Very interesting project, by the way. And I think this goes and affects the USFL, affects all football in what they're trying to do. So he's set to launch the High School Spring League. Well, that kind of sounds familiar a little bit with 2 of the words, but ignore that for now. Here's the gist. So the way he's setting this up is it is a prep super league that is intended to be somewhat like the AAU in basketball. So think of like a nationwide kind of competition where you got a lot of teams traveling around, top tier players going in. You want that extra footage, that extra showing if you want. 11-on-11 football with 12 teams in major markets across the country, from Los Angeles to Miami, with a 6-week season that'd be streamed for people to watch and follow along closely with development and growing each individual player's brand at the forefront of the league. Sounds a lot like NIL type of stuff, if you ask me. The league would operate with NCAA rules and could supplement on the 7-on-7 and prospect camp players to go. So basically, Brian's coming in and saying, you know what? I revolutionized kind of how to kickstart these bad boys with the hubs.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever you want to call it with the hubs. They've gotten 2 seasons in. The league has been doing much better financially than I think some other startups have in many years past, I would say. And he did a great job getting it off the ground. Whatever you want to call the hubs, he did a great job getting off the ground. So here's Brian coming again And he's trying to change the game in high school football now.
Well, it makes sense.
In some states like Texas, you're in Texas. That would be insane to see something like that in Texas.
It's honestly, I think it has a huge opportunity because, I think Houston is one of the markets there. But, I mean, let's see what he's doing here realistically. Is he's setting these kids up for success in a whole different market of college football, right? College football today is much different than college football 20 years ago. College football 20 years ago, you're a player, star player on the team. Coach buys you a sandwich by accident. Boom, you're done. Get out of here, son. No more championship for you. Yeah. Nowadays, there's big deals on the line. There's transfer portals. And this is what I feel like this is the niche here, is it's getting guys ready to get to play into that realm. Now, will they get a cut of that? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how that's all going to work. But I wouldn't doubt it.
I'm fascinated by this venture because Brian Woods is a guy that I think at times we have learned he thinks outside the box with football on a lot of different levels and is very much on the pro developmental, as with the USFL's original and still is growing goal, is about highlighting players.
Right.
You know, the Spring League was about highlighting players. This is basically high school Spring League is what we've got. But now with more of a focus on growing player branding, more leaning in towards getting ready for college. It's kind of wild. Like Brian he loves football, but he's the venture capitalist tycoon of football is how I've been looking at it in recent years.
Which, I mean, sign him up. It's nice to see him taking what he's learned with the Spring League, the USFL, and bringing it to a high school level, because, I mean, this is something that there's some of these things that you're not going to learn just by playing the game. I'll be honest with you, right? And having another opportunity to get like consistent footage, consistent stats that you can share with those scouts. I mean, at the end of the day, I hope this is a good thing. Advantageous, though. 12 markets, major cities. Miami, Los Angeles right there is not cheap. Houston, Texas, though, I think there's a crowd there for high school football. I mean, it already exists, right?
I think that'll be the question. I wish we had more time to dive in deeper because it is high school football. So now we're talking a separate season outside of the traditional fall season. You know, a lot more stuff I'd ask, like which talents would go, like which level, like if we're talking different states, like Indiana, they do 1 through 5A, I believe it's still. They might have 6A now. But like there's some talk about different states, which states would benefit a lot. I could see like states that aren't as big programs like Texas and California, they have huge. Florida, Georgia, but imagine like states like Midwest,
right,
or like the middle of the desert type of states, like the corner states. Like I imagine talents like that. Maybe they want a little extra film and they're like more go-getting.
Sure.
That I could see totally being their type of thing. Fascinating. Like I said, this is very fascinating. I almost feel like I want to do this as like a separate, I haven't done Gridiron Gallery in forever, but I almost like want to do a deep dive in and see what this will be
right
in the near months. Because this is clear. It's very unique. I was not expecting this.
No.
But I guess I should expect Brian Woods to do what he does, which is I'm going to start some football stuff.
Yeah. I mean, he can't stop, won't stop. Sign him up. Can't be mad at it. Which leads us, Zach, to week 9.
Week 9.
Week 9.
Here we go.
Holy smokes. Week 9? What do you mean week 9?
It's week 9.
It's crazy.
Oh man, it's week 9. We're almost to the end of the regular season. That's both great but also scary because I like watching football, the USFL, and I would have to wait until the NFL season. There's CFL games too. CFL not going to knock. They actually just started up, but USFL season's coming closer to an end, man. I first have to think about that. Anyway, I no time like the present. We still have good football. Wipe those tears away. We still got 2 weeks, including week 9. Maybe they're cheers for the Panthers because I am worried.
We'll see.
But again, 3 clinching scenarios. One of them hinges on another team winning, which is Philadelphia, and that one starts at the beginning of the slate on Saturday, noon Eastern time. All these 4 games this week are on over-the-air television, and usually this is how it goes. You see a lot of these spring leagues, they'll start out front-load a lot of over-the-air coverage. They have bigger sporting events, and now the end of the year, playoff time, A lot more over-the-air coverage coming in. Fox and NBC are going to be riding this throughout the rest of the way. Week 9 to the championship, it'll be only over-the-air networks, as confirmed by the schedule. So you're going to be real happy about that for those that want to jump on, sit back, and relax. So Michigan kicks off. They are going to Canton, Ohio to play the Pittsburgh Maulers. Both are kind of desperate in their own way because I think Michigan just wants to lock this up and just start focusing on the playoffs.
Right.
I think that's really it. For the season it's been, Mike Nolan, I believe, will be the happiest man in the USFL if he can get this win, watch Bart Andrus, his hub stadium buddy, lock up a win, and then he can go, him and Eric Murray can go, oh, thank God. We can scout week 10, but we can at least chill.
Right.
So I think you're going to see a lot of effort put in this game where they're like, guys, if we play this clean, we can have basically, in a way, 2 weeks to prep.
Right.
We'll maybe figure out how we do this for week 10, but it doesn't matter at that point.
Right.
If you get Philadelphia to land the right way. So Michigan wants to get this W for that. Pittsburgh, they're on the ledge. This is tiptoes now. You got a Panther growling at you, about to push you over the edge with your hammer.
You know what this game feels like to me, though? A big, stinky spoiler game. It feels like a big, stinky spoiler game, and it just feels like this feels like even with Reggie Corbin being injured, this feels like the Panthers should win this game. But stinky spoiler's going to stinky and spoil. Now, my favorite part of this game, Zach, is early in the week, I'm going to know if Houston wins or not. Refs lost. Sign me up. Now,
oh, yeah, that's right.
I mean, it's the reverso of last week where you should have just known. You should have known after that early game when the gamblers all in one by one, you would go down. So now we'll know. This will be my reverso curse here. But, I mean, I want to say the Panthers are going to pull it out. I want to say the Panthers are going to win. But there's something about the Maulers. They kept Houston competitive. Yeah, Kenji Bahar's coming off an injury, 1 point game. It really depends on what half of the Panthers do you get. Do we get first half up until the last 2 minutes of the quarter Panthers where you can't do anything? Or do you get the second half Panthers that are competitive, sans the timeouts that we went over a million times here?
In wins or on the road, that has been really the story all season. Even in our week 1 game when we were in Memphis, didn't come on hot until the second half. I mean, they were down going into halftime.
Right.
I didn't feel good, but then they came out hot. They found their rhythm, found open receivers over the middle, and closed it out. And this one, for last game these two played, Pittsburgh, it was defense. They handled business. They manhandled Michigan. Michigan got nothing going their way. Even when they got turnovers, it was basically a red zone turnover. You throw it right back the other direction. And I think, if anything, Mike Nolan and company, they got to sit here and go, guys, we have a prime opportunity right now. And I think that they look at these recent games and go, look, Pittsburgh, even now, it's, they did the right job of putting Troy Williams in because they have lineman protection woes. And they still do, even with Troy in. And it's been showing. And I think they know, hey, we have got 2 Defensive Player of the Year candidates on our roster. We are very much in the driver's seat of our own destiny. We just got to go after it, put pressure on their offense, and then execute enough on the opposite side. We have the talent to do it. Even with Reggie Corbin looking like being reported that he's doubtful to play, Stevie Scott can handle the job.
Sure.
They also have, they also have great receiving talents. Joe Walker, when he is on, he's on.
Oh, yeah.
He drops some balls every now and then, but when he's on, he's one of the tops in the league. They can do it. So I have Michigan. I'm going with them. I think that they control their own fate.
Good for you, Zach. I'm glad you're back on your team's side.
Why not? I got nothing to lose. The North is kind of, it's a freaking in the mud thing. Yeah. I'm pulling something from my other show. It is the muck of the USFL. And I mean that in terms of like the uglier side. You can say, well, wait a minute, Zach. If you do this arena show and you talk about the muck, it's usually about the bottom half of the standings. What about the South? The South is pristine, man. It has got 4 quality teams out there. I think the North has a quality team at the top now, and the rest of them, like, I got to pick one. One of them's got to come with me.
I mean, well, here's the thing. As of right now, you're in the playoffs. Even if you lose this game, the door is still open. The door is still open.
Actually, if I lose this game, the Pittsburgh Maulers, and this is what's crucial, they get the tiebreaker. They would sweep Michigan. I would be sitting here going, oh, shoot, because then you have a tiebreaker to deal with.
And I'll be in Ford Field, so it's extra bad luck.
Complete bad. That's another reason. They know you're going to come, and so like, if we win this game, and Philadelphia wins, it won't mean anything. Then he can't even rule anything in.
We have to. This ref guy is going to be at the game. We can't
let that Panther dude show up.
It's true too. You know it, but I'll tell you this.
I got Michigan though.
Yeah, you know what? I'll say it. I think Michigan's going to pull it out. I think. You know what? This is like, I don't know. Now this next game up, NBC, 3 p.m. Eastern, probably game of the week. Potentially. It has the potential.
Any South games, and actually, I feel bad. I gave you both South games.
That makes it more difficult to pick, but you know what? I'm going to get them right.
Those I'm like, oh man, you got to be put in that scenario. Like the division has 3 5-3s and a 6-2 team sitting in there, and you got to pick these games.
As much as I want to pick the Breakers, because you know what? They rebounded last week. When I look at the two performances, not just last week, but the last, collective 3 weeks, maybe even going back all 5 weeks since the Showboats have gone on a winning streak, man, it becomes very hard for me to pick anybody else but the Showboats. I don't really, let's just look it down. So we talked about this earlier. You had mentioned one of the things that the Showboats have really improved on, defense. What has been killing the Breakers in their losing games, and even the ones that they won, is that defense getting picked off. Even though MBT, modern record holder, passing yards, getting things done. This second half of the season is not being very kind to the New Orleans Breakers. And I don't think Todd Haley wants to lose any steam, because let's remember earlier in the year, after the Stallions beat him down, he told Skip Holtz, I'm going to remember that. And they meet up next week, and I think that they're not going to take the L before they go to Birmingham to just, that game. That game is going to be all sorts of fun. Game. Both of these games. These South games, you're right, they're pristine. And we're not even to the best one in the South yet. But I'm going to have to say, Showboats, move it. They're going to a 6-game winning streak here.
Whoa.
I want the Breakers to be in this. I want them to be competitive. I do see West Hills having a better game. I don't see, I think MBT is going to struggle a little bit though. I think that defense is going to be all over him. His best hope out there, he's got a couple guys, but he's been working really well with Johnny Dixon lately. But I don't know, man. The Showboats are just on fire.
I've got the deal as, can you protect McLeod Bethel-Thompson so that you aren't forcing him to get pressured and rush something or have to play hero ball? Because that seems when a lot of his interceptions happen, is when he does that. Now, credit that Warren Saba pick this past week, that was a complete miscue. Didn't see the man over the middle.
Right.
But a lot of times it's been, he'll get pressured, and then eventually gets a little bit, there's a bit of confusion in the secondary, gets picked off or gets tipped and picked off. So you want to get pressure on him. You want to get sacks on him. Defensively, the Breakers, they're middle of the road this year. They really have been that middle of the road. They're opportunistic, but they also can't be put behind the 8 ball by their offense. Otherwise, you see points get converted. That's the deal. They have talent to hold teams down if they need to on long drives, but the worry is, can you see both of them work in cohesion? Again, Breakers had 3 turnovers last week. Michigan, if Michigan is a much more efficient team, if they're any bit more efficient than they have been all year, they walk away with a win. 3 turnover games like that, you don't just let those slip through your fingers like that. But that's where Michigan's at. Memphis, completely different animal. They were a lot more disciplined on defense. Offensively, I think they're kind of, I would say, still kind of finding identity. I mean, they can get the passing game going, but it's a little more erratic. The run game has been getting more consistent, but it can also be erratic. It's still morphing, but that defense is its bread and butter right now, as well as good special teams, by the way. That's been leading the way too. Something that I think we need to point out for this, and if Memphis does pull it off like you're talking, and this was another clinching scenario that I totally spaced on until Darren James, who is, he is one of the heads for the USFL. He helps with their
comms and media,
essentially
and all
the comms and everything. I was about to say press release, but you know what I mean. He's the comms guy. He's the one that relays a lot of the official items for the league. He was asked by Aaron Lee, who is over in WGNO TV as columnist, journalist, sports reporter for them. He was asked, if the Breakers lose and the Stallions win this week, are they eliminated? Because if you look at the tiebreakers, and if you think about it, Memphis would have a sweep. They'd be 6-3.
Right. Playing
Birmingham. Birmingham split the games. They have to play Houston next week, but they would also be 6-4. But if you have 6-4, 6-4, 6-4, and you got the splits, then it would come down to a few tiebreakers. But New Orleans is actually the odd man out. This is a win. This is a must-win game for them.
Which is crazy.
Not to say that
because they came into this.
Houston can't pull it off, but you know.
Well, like it's crazy because they came into the season so hot. They looked unstoppable. Very reminiscent again of last year with the Breakers coming in hot, stalling out. Different cast, but same reaction. But they did squeak into the playoffs last year. We'll have to see. So who are you picking in this one? You going Showboats?
Well, you're the one.
Well, I said Showboats, but I'm curious. Who do you think is going to do this?
This is tough. It all comes down to, do I think the Breakers fixed some of their woes? I don't know if they did. I guess a better team in the South would have beat them last week with 3 turnovers.
Sure.
With that defensive effort. That's how I felt. I'm on Memphis's train right now. I really am. I think their defense has just been that stellar. They get pressure everywhere. They've been playing crisp, and they can lock teams down. They just got to do enough on the offensive side of the ball, which they showed last time they can, and now they get to play at home in what is looking like one of their bigger crowds of the year. Memphis is rowdy. They're a good crowd.
Oh, yeah.
I got to go with the Showboats, man. I think the Yacht Club's going to be pleased, and they'll be one step closer to possibly trying to see if they can host a game.
Right.
But I think New Orleans will be put on the brink, and it'll come down to this next contest you get to pick, which will be, they'll be, if that scenario happens, they have to root for Houston at that point.
As everybody should, because Houston is going so all in on these little Birmingham Stallion pony boys. I mean, this weekend, we are the bane of the Stallions' existence. Their fans, they whimper. They shudder in fear.
Whoa.
They shake in their boots when they know that the gamblers are coming to town. And even worse, the Stallions have to come to Memphis to play Houston. It's all sorts of wonky, but ooh, I am all in. Mark Thompson is going to solidify that MVP status this week because McGough, he's going to have a game, but we're going to win it, and it's going to be due to Mark Thompson putting us over the top. Now, is this going to be, the Stallions are not going to give this up easy. There's a lot of teams that they have on the list that they want to take care of. And after the last 2 outings, but I'd say specifically that last one, that the Stallions aren't coming to mess around. That was a close game last time. We are coming off a Bahar injury. And I did say that the Panthers are going to win. So maybe this is a homer pick, Zach. What am I doing? Why would I do that? I'm a homer. I can't stop myself. I will say, maybe this is the week that ref's law is broken. But we'll know early. If the Panthers win early in the week, then I'll know. Dadganit. The Stallions probably get it.
This one I'm going to split on you. I actually am going to take Birmingham, but I don't feel it's probably it's actually the least confident pick I have of the week. And that's saying something given I just picked Memphis to sweep New Orleans. I just like where Birmingham's at right now. You know, the last game they played, part of it was, and again, Stallions fans, you can argue if you want, but it was a meltdown. They melted down on themselves. I don't know if that happens again. Now, that being said, they're going to Memphis. They're going to be playing away. It's up the road. I just think they have a better identity now. They fixed a few of their holes in their defense with some recent signings, and they can hurt you a bit more. CJ Marable, he's a bit more of a threat now. I think that they've gotten a lot more on the same page with receiving threats when it comes to Alex McGough. You know, Davion Davis has been sneaking up there. You know, Petway's been seamlessly getting into the offense better. You know, Deion Kane he contributes when needed. You know, there's options. They've been getting a little bit better in a lot of other facets. Honestly, the main factor for me is I think the Stallions do what they did last time against Houston, and they'll stack the box and they'll basically bait the gamblers to throw. But Kenji Bahar wasn't in this last contest. Credit the key de facto change into the game was a 54 or 51-yard touchdown pass from Terry Wilson to Anthony Ratliff-Williams. Can Kenji Bahar answer the bell? That's what you're going to be bringing up. I think he has that ability. I just think Birmingham's on the right. They're hitting the hot streak right now at the right time.
Oh, yeah. No, there is no denying that. I mean, the Stallions are a scary team. This is not going to be an easy game, but hey, let's keep in mind, deep pockets, refs. I'll be giving you a ring before this one, baby. The check is going to clear. We're going to be looking so good. So good. All in. I'll even throw a couple chips in there so they can go to the casino after. Let's get signed up.
Your turn, horse.
Oh, yeah.
Put in your ante.
Yep. So I'm a hopeful homer pick on this one. Let's see, 2 p.m. Eastern on NBC. Hopefully should get a lot of eyeballs here. But Zach, that takes us to the last game. Let us know what we got here.
Primetime football, which I believe this one is being followed up by this one should actually get good ratings from what I understand. It's followed up by a NASCAR race. This whole weekend should be fascinating for Fox because they got the Belmont Stakes that they're going to have this weekend, and they also got NASCAR to follow into the race. So I don't know, just random thoughts. I had a buddy of mine from my former job tell me about that. I was like, oh yeah, good point. Yeah. Anyway, primetime football Sunday night, Philadelphia taking on New Jersey Generals. Last matchup was record-setting, 8 field goals. You can't rely on that again. No way that happens twice in a row. That is a 2 times in a existence of the sport type of event. So sorry, Louise. I don't think you'll be doing that again, but mainly because I think your offense is finding its rhythm. Now, the wrinkle of this is the fascinating part. Now, they haven't released this because we do the show before they do it, because they usually release out a lot of the injury updates 2 days in advance of a game. So this game won't get it until when you're listening to it on Friday. DeAndre Johnson's back in practice. And it doesn't look like, again, Kyle Lauletta, he might not be on the roster anymore. It sounds like, according to James Larson, our guy, our insider over at Pro Football Newsroom or USFL Newsroom, he's been saying he's not on the roster right now. Usually that means that the player's been released. So that would leave Dakota Brooke Cup and DeAndre Johnson, or DJ. And both of them mobile QBs. Now, Dakota had an all right finish to the game, to his contest last week against Memphis. DeAndre Johnson, I think all year has been the number one option, but gets, to me, thrown around by Mike Riley and company a lot.
Sure.
Do you start him though, coming off injury? That's the piece that's fascinating, to me, it's almost like we talked at the beginning of the year. You're using a 1A 1B with a rushing QB like that. I almost feel like if you don't think DeAndre is fully ready to go, leave Dakota in and go with that.
Right.
And then after that, just find some way to get an explosive option. I think Alonzo Moore's your main guy. He's leading the league in touchdown passes, or catches, by the way. Maybe that's your go. Lean on maybe Darius Victor more. Victor is in like a running back by committee setup, and it's awkward. He's top 3 in the league in rushing yards, but honestly, it feels like he should have more. Because he doesn't get as many attempts. So maybe lean on him more if you want. Philadelphia has tightened things up on defense, but They still can give up some rushing gashes here or there. But Philadelphia hitting the strides right now. And that's the thing. If you're the Generals, do you have enough offense to keep up with the Philadelphia Stars?
Yeah. And I don't think
Is your
so.
defense ready? Is your defense ready to play what is going to be a different game? Because Philadelphia, that's something else. They have adjusted. Case Cookus is taking less hits. He's getting the ball out. Receivers are getting open faster. Corey Coleman's becoming a number one option very quickly.
Oh, yeah.
He's leading the league in passing yards. Do you lock him down? I don't know. I got the Stars. I think that they are right now the North's definitive team, which is so weird. Manifest destiny for the Philadelphia Stars in the USFL.
It just had to be. Always has been.
Hand.
Always has been.
Always freaking has been. It's a space meme
Yep.
all over again, like we posted. So I got the Stars. I mean, do you see the Generals? I think the Generals play a close game. I just don't see them winning this. I think out of the 2-2-6 teams, I actually have more faith in Pittsburgh keeping themselves in the race than I do New Jersey. And that's harsh, but that's my reality I'm living in right now.
Yeah, I don't see a reality where the Generals win this game. Do I want to see it because it makes everything that much more interesting going into week 10? Oh, hell yeah, I do.
Oh,
hell yeah, I do. I
do.
want to see the Generals come out with the baller of all baller games and really make it come down to that Panthers-Stars game to see who's getting what and who's going where. But man, oh man, I don't know. I mean, Dakota, he had a good second half last week. But, I mean, DJ's coming off an injury. This team they just don't have that spark that they had last year. I mean, they narrowly lost that first game to go on a 9-game winning streak. This year, it's every time they seem like they take a step forward, they take a step and a half back. Every time they take another step forward, we got another injury. Take a step and a half, 2 steps back. And so now you're bringing someone back. And you have to make that decision because, okay, if you lose this game, there's still a chance. So do you let DeAndre Johnson rest and only put him in the game if you absolutely need to because you might need to depend on him in week 10? Or do you put him in and risk something happening that puts your week 10 in jeopardy? And I don't know the answer to that. That's why I don't get paid the big bucks to sit on the sideline. If there's anybody I would want to make that decision, it is coach up there for the Generals. But, they are facing a mean Stars team heading into this postseason. And, I mean, just looking at last week, in both of their performances, they just went toe-to-toe with the Stallions. And, yeah, the Jersey defense, they've been good at holding teams down, slowing them down. But it just feels like the Panthers, I wouldn't say that, but the Stars are finding their rhythm right now.
Yeah, I would agree there. Do not mention Panthers and rhythm in the same sentence because that's a lie. That is a brutal lie. Philadelphia is on the right path right now. They are it's manifest destiny in a football team. It's freaking how it feels, but you never know. I mean, think about this last year. Playoffs I think are undecided even in the North because last year we thought the Generals were a lock at 9-1, and here came Philadelphia and Luis Perez's worst game of the year against the Stars. You never really know. I do think the Philadelphia Stars, though, this is not the same Generals team. It is. It feels a little discombobulated injury-wise, roster management or starter management, if you will. And it's funny. This is the most crucial game of the year right now for who's going to start behind center. And Mike Riley has shown me no confidence that he's going to pick the right person behind center, which is weird. It's so weird how that is flipped. I still love Mike Riley as a coach. It's just that one detail frustrates me beyond everything else the man does for this team.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
that's the only thing.
But you know what I am anticipating, Zach? A lot of close games because, again, 10 consecutive games already. Might as well make it 14, right? Right.
It's going to happen. It's playoff time.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to see desperate teams in week 9. I mean, again, two of them, 3 of them are possibly on the elimination block. You have to be desperate at this stage in the year.
Right. Maybe we'll get a big. Remember, there was week 3 or week 4? There was upset week. There was a week where everybody's like, "What is going?" I think it was the week that the Gamblers, which wasn't an upset, but trampled those Stallions like we're going to do again this week. All in, baby. Remember this phrase: Gamblers win, all in. Because you're going to be hearing it a lot. I told you at the beginning of the year, nobody wanted to listen to little old ref, but here we are.
Gotta get your winnings from the card table first. You got 2 more weeks to do it and a few hands to throw in first.
Oh yeah,
before you can say that.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm banking on some Gamblers' luck here. That's all I'm hoping. I watched a
little World Series of Poker today, and all I can say is, as long as you get to that final 2, then everything is a full game. That's it.
Oh sure.
Don't matter what you're gambling with. As long as you're in the final 2, you're doing pretty good.
That's what I want to see. I'm hoping. We'll see. But man, just a couple weeks left, and then we'll be beautiful Canton, Ohio, Summer Stock Day 1 and 2. I am looking forward to that.
Can't wait to see you guys down there. June 30th, July 1st. Friday, June 30th is Saturday, July 1st for Summer Stock 2. We already got an ad out. We'll keep posting that bad boy around, both poster and video, by the way. That great summer vibe video you threw out there with the fireworks.
Oh, yeah. We're having fireworks. Nice. Well, I'm not going to say that. We're not going to have fireworks at Summer Stock. I want to joke about things, but then I forget that there's no there's no /S after that sentence. People are going to be like, where are the fireworks? And I mean, let's be honest, I don't even know if you could buy. Actually, no, I do know. You can buy fireworks in Ohio because that's where we used to go to buy them.
Look, all I can tell you is there's a fire marshal in Stark County, Ohio, that is probably, maybe he for some reason heard the show and went, wait a minute.
We're just going to have little snakes, those little things that you set up. Sparklers.
What's the matter, buddy? We just bought a bunch of snakes and sparklers.
Yeah. Just tie them together.
Buzzkill, dude.
Anyway, Summer Stock. Man, I'm looking forward to it.
Summer Stock 2, baby. June 30th, July 1st. June 30th is the Tour of the Hall of Fame. July 1st, 3 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be doing a live broadcast on Scene and on YouTube, which that window to your live broadcast, your video of choice, it'll be on our YouTube page where you can like it and basically make sure that you are notified when we go live. Speaking of which, again, follow us on our socials at USFL Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, where we will have a Summer Stock dance for sure happening one of those 2 days. Hey, maybe we'll do the group dance of the Hall of Fame. What do you think? That'd be that one. I might have birthed an idea right there. We'll hold on to that light bulb moment. And then July 1st, like I said, we'll be having that, which you want to use these next piece here. Subscribe to our channel, USFL Podcast, if you're looking it up on YouTube, because you get a notification if you click that bell to get our live stream and episodes, and when we drop interviews and clips from the show on to our YouTube page for all of your USFL content needs, and you're entered into a 5,000 sub giveaway for a custom USFL jersey. There's a lot to like.
And morale. You get morale when you click that bell. You also get morale.
I mean,
that's my favorite part of clicking the bell.
I mean, you click the bell, builds morale.
Mm-hmm. And we all need it.
It's such a great package, and it's free to subscribe to us or to leave us a review. Give us a nice, friendly conversation piece. We love hearing back from our fans on our podcast platforms too. Apple, a few others do reviews if you like. Beyond that, Breaking Tea, 10% off a USFL newsroom on there. And see you on the other side here. That's been episode 60, the big 6-0, finishing up for the USFL podcast. Tune in next week, 61, week 10. We'll bring you all the playoff talk. We'll bring you all the predictions for awards. Might even do some stuff on a few of those all USFL teams. Remember, they do that in this league. Got to talk about season 2's additions. We got a lot of homework to do for episode 61, but we'll bring our stuff and bring you grade A analysis on the other side. I'm Zach Kyleman. This is the Ref. We'll catch you next week, and soon enough at Summer Stock. See you then.